Hare Krishna. Welcome to this episode of a special episode about Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Yesterday we had done the first part, reading through the whole biography of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, and today we're going to do the part 2. Hopefully we can complete it today, but if we cannot, then there will be part 3 tomorrow. And today is actually the disappearance day of Sri Gaur Kishore Das Babaji 2020. And it is our great fortune that we are actually reading all this about his own life, because it inspires us in so many ways, especially in the matter of renunciation and strict practice of Krishna consciousness. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagyamurtaye Vipralambhara Sambhode Padam Bujayate Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Just before we start, there's a kind of echo going on here. Just going to move a little bit. All right. Hare Krishna. That's a little bit better, because there's a kind of reverberation going on, because the sound, this room is not sound treated, so I need to treat it for proper sound. Otherwise, there's always this kind of echoey, tinny noise, that comes about. All right. We will quickly go. Already we have lapsed. Wow, 20 minutes we have lost. So let's quickly jump into the life story. I actually found out a way where I can, make this visible with this format, because yesterday it was, mine was like small in circle, and then this whole thing was a screen, because I couldn't get this like this to this text size. So I figured out a way. It's a simple hack, but now we can actually read this. So we are continuing from the 17th chapter. We have read until the 16th chapter in the part 1. Today is part 2, starting from 17th chapter. Once, what is the general instructions? Okay. Once, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji wrapped his body and feet with a cloth. Sitting covered like this, he said, "Many persons, after being informed by others that I am a Vaishnava, come here to collect the dust from my feet. I tell them, I am not a Vaishnava. If you go where there are Vaishnavas with their feet pretentiously decorated and extended to be touched, then you can get unlimited dust. If you go where there are Vaishnavas with their feet pretentiously decorated and extended to be touched, then you can get unlimited dust. Ajanya Mataji is saying audio is alright. Actually, it's not perfect. It may sound alright, but it's not perfect. Anyway, at this time, a person named Bhattacharya came from Vrindavan with his female companion to see Srila Babaji Maharaj. Approaching him, he said, "You are my spiritual master. Please be merciful to me." Babaji Maharaj replied, saying, "I have nothing. I have no rasagullas, sandesh, luchi, puris, money, sweet rice, or sweet words. How can I bless you?" Those spiritual masters who can feed their disciples many sweets are praised as the most advanced. Nowadays, such a person is qualified to become a spiritual master. Presently, the learned section defines the word anukula, favorable, as receiving wealth, a beautiful wife, or sweet words. Bhattacharya then remarked, "We have many misconceptions. Whatever you instruct, that we will do." Srila Gaurkishora Das Babaji Maharaj then instructed him, "I can see what is most favorable for you. You should eat rice that has been soaked in water and sit on a grass seat. You should eat food that not even a dog would accept." That means it's not even fit to be eaten by a dog. You should eat that. You should wear clothes that even a thief would not steal. You must remain in the association of devotees and always chant the holy name of the Lord. By imitating the activities of one who is very renounced, one resembles a monkey. Monkeys sit in one place and remain quiet, but when they get the opportunity, they steal something. As long as one acts like a monkey, then his devotional service will never become fixed. Babaji Maharaj thus instructed Bhattacharya with respect to his actual position and responded to his insincere plea for instruction by giving him orders that a monkey like renunciate could never follow. The humorous description of so-called spiritual masters given by Babaji Maharaj aptly describes a category of guru that people keep as a pet for fulfilling their material desires. Though speaking for Bhattacharya's benefit, it is clear that the man was not sincere enough to actually hear the instructive words of a bona fide guru. Okay, you just hold on for a second. I needed to do something which I did not do. Just give me 1 minute. I'm so sorry. Okay, so sorry. So you see how he cut the so-called. Many times it happens that say they come for sadhu. Oh, I want some blessings. You please tell us what we should do. But when the sadhus actually tell them, they get angry. Oh, how you can tell like that? In other words, they want the sadhu to say something very sweet, something very nice. And come on, nice means what? In their idea, what is nice? Anything that promotes material enjoyment is nice. And sadhu is not for that. His business is not that. You see, his business is to tell the truth and teach the person how to become Krishna conscious. Wake him up. What did we chant just now in the beginning, the prayers? Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. What does that mean? Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. You see, the Guru, Om Ajnana Timira Andhasya, from the dense darkness of ignorance, Jnananjana Shalakaya, With the torchlight of knowledge, he leads us to the path of light, the means of Krishna consciousness. And Chakshur Unmilitam Yena, with a knife, he cuts open our eyes. We were so tightly asleep. He forces our eyes open. That's a sadhu's business. So people don't want actual spiritual instructions when they meet a sadhu. There's one hilarious incident in Srila Prabhupada's life when he had already gone to the Western countries and he made so many devotees from the West, and then he came to India. So Prabhupada was going in a train, in a train. So Indian trains, you know, right? So he was going and he had this huge entourage of Western disciples, at least a dozen of them. So in fact, because he was so many Western people with like dressed like sannyasis, dhotis and kurtas, or matajis with saris. So he was a sight to behold. Everybody nobody can get their eyes off him. They have to notice him. So people, when they see such a sadhu with Western disciples, they become a bit respectful. Then they want blessings. They want touch the feet. So what the American disciples, what they were doing was they were shielding him from all these people who would unnecessarily come and touch feet for no reason, and then waste his time, and because the train had to be caught, and then the luggage, everything has to be taken on board. So they got Prabhupada inside and they had him seated, and then the disciples, they were guarding the two doors of the compartment. Anyone who would come to disturb Prabhupada, like, oh, I want some blessing and this and that, but they're not interested. So they wanted to guard him and keep him peaceful. Somehow these two people sneaked in. They came to Prabhupada and then they kneeled down before him. Swamiji, please give us your blessings. So Prabhupada asked, what blessings you want? They did not know what to say, because I never expected sadhu, because sadhu usually giving blessings, blessing, they will just raise their hand as if they are big powerful people. Nothing is going to happen anyway. So, but he did not do that. He did not raise his hand, yes, Ashirwad. No, he did not do that. What blessings you want, he asked. So they also don't know what to say. Then they finally they mustered some courage, and then they said, stammering, they said, Swamiji, I have knee pain, I have back pain, I have my family, there's some problem, there is some this financial problem. Like this they were coming and asking Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada said, all right, I can give my mercy, but you should become like them. He showed all his Western disciples who were sannyasis, shaved head, chanting Hare Krishna, put tilak, bright tilak, kanthimala and everything, full sannyasis. You become like them, yes, I will give you my mercy. Then they said, Swamiji. Then they went off. That's it. This is what they want. They're not serious. They don't surrender to the Swami. They want the Swami to give them what they want. Same thing, when they go to temple also, they pray to God for these things. And this is not religion. This is a business, trying to have some business deals with God. We cannot be merchants. Without any payback, without asking any payment, Krishna is giving us sunlight, water, our own body, our intelligence, everything He has given us. Why we are still strike deals with Him? You do this one for me, then I will do. What about all the things He has already done for us? We need to pay that. No need to pay. So this is the problem. People, especially in India, you will find many people like this. So you see a nice answer Gaurkishore Das Babaji gave. You see? You should eat food that not even a dog would accept. Of course, Prabhupada, actually, there is one incident in Hyderabad temple where the cooking was so bad. And Srila Prabhupada said, you should cook food that is fit to be eaten by God. But you are cooking food that will be rejected even by dog. He chastised them so much. Prasadam quality must be very high. You are serving Krishna, and then that must be given to the people. How will people be attracted if you cook like this? He was chastising a lot. So of course there he said, you cannot cook like this. You are cooking like food that is not even fit to be eaten by dog. You should cook food which is fit to be eaten by God. So, but here Babaji Maharaj is saying you should accept food that not even a dog would accept. You should wear clothes that not even a thief would steal. Thief would not steal which kind of clothes? Some torn clothes and that kind of clothes, rejected clothes from the dead bodies, like Gaurkishore Das Babaji. Those clothes nobody will take. So he is asking them, are you serious about your spiritual life? First of all, you are not prepared to surrender. Don't ask me any blessings. That's what basically he was saying, but in a way which is still he was harsh. This was like a polite way. His politeness is like this. Not that he is a very angry person. Not like that. You should understand that when there is insincerity, he talks like this to cut their insincerity, to make them realize their insincerity, to educate them. Okay, next. Ashtakaliya Leela. You know what is Ashtakaliya Leela? Kal means time, Ashta means 8. 8 times Leela means pastime. What is 8 times pastime? So, the Radha Krishna pastimes, Radha Krishna Leela, in the day there are 24 hours. So, in Vedic time divisions, just like we said 24 hours, in Vedic measurement is Ashta Prahara. Prahara means one Prahara is 3 hours long. So 3 hours times 8 means 24 hours. Ashta, 8 means, so Ashta Prahara means 8 times Prahara means 3 hours, 24 hours. So one day is divided into 8 Praharas, Ashta Prahara. So in that, each Prahara, it's a different mood, and there is a different kind of Leela that Radha and Krishna engage in. In fact, even ordinarily, the music, for those who know music also has a different rag, tune, and the tunes, expert musician, he will be able to say which tune can be sung for which time of the day. Like a rag or a tune which is meant for the night should not be sung in the daytime. Like you see in the morning, our Mangalarati song, Samsara dava nalalidhaloka tranaya karunya ghana ghanatvam. That is a morning tune. And Prabhupada wanted the Mangalarati to be sung only in that tune, in the morning. And even the Hare Krishna also the same tune. It's not any other tune. In the Mangalarati, we cannot chant whatever tune we like. Other times he was liberal, but Mangalarati time only that morning raga. Like even in South India, you will know this, this Venkatesha Suprabhatam. That is also morning raga. That's why when you hear that, you will automatically wake up. You cannot sleep after you hear that. Like even Brahma Samhita, we chant it like that. Chintamani prakara sadma sukalpa vriksha lakshavriteshu surabhirabhipalayantam Lakshmi sahasrashata sambrama sevyamanam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. That is supposed to be sung in the morning prahara, that 3 hours there. So night ones will be more like a somber, more like a, sad kind of tunes, like more what is that word? Plaintive tunes. So like that, there is an afternoon. So all these 8 different times of the day are there, and music is also different, and even the kind of food actually we eat also should be different. Of course, we should not eat 8 times, but different times it should be different. So in that way, there are many rules like that. So anyway, Radha Krishna also have their pastimes. Now you may say in the spiritual world, because there is a shloka in Brahma Samhita, what is that? In 556. Yatra, let's go there. It's just off the cuff, it's not coming into my brain. Okay, 556. Nimesharthakyo va vrajati nahi yatrapi samayaha. What does that mean? That means without where this is the spiritual world, where there is eternal existence of transcendental time, who is ever present and without past or future, and hence is not subject to the quality of passing away even for the space of half a moment. That means not even half a second passes in the spiritual world. There is no time there. That means, in other words, actually there is time, transcendental time. Here, time forces everything. Like just now, I was late for this class. So the time went. I cannot stop the time and say, oh, let it be 7:30 and I will get ready and come. No, it passed. So we had to make adjustments, you see. So like that, time passes in this material world and we cannot stop it. It is force. Otherwise, we can have this lecture going on for, but time passes and 3 hours will, like yesterday it was 3 hours and we had to stop. So time is going. Here, time forces everything. And in the ultimate sense, time means death. With each passing second, we are getting closer and closer to death. You see? So that is the this thing of time. Ajanya Mataji is asking, chant Hare Krishna in the morning tune. I have to think. I have to chant again. Somehow I just forget the tune. Wait a second. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi dhyayan stuvam stasya yashastri sandhyam vande guru shri charanarvindam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The same tune is Vibhavari Shesha. Vibhavari Shesha Aloka Pravesha Nidra Chhadi Utho Jiva Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva. See, Vibhavari Shesha, that means Vibhavari means night. Shesh means finished. Vibhavari Shesha, night has finished. Aloka Pravesha. Aloka Pravesha means the day has entered. We have entered into the daytime. Nidra Chhadi Uto Jiva. Nidra Chhadi means give up your sleep. Utho Jiva, wake up. Oh, soul, Jiva, sleeping soul, wake up. Jeev jago, Gaura Chandra bole, Koto nidra jao maya, Pishachira kole. So this is all morning tune. So like that, that's the morning tune. That's what we sing for Mangalarti, and that tune only has to be sung for Mangalarti. Actually, there are variations on that set, so that only those tunes can be sung. You cannot sing any whatever tune you like in the Mangalarti. Prabhupada wanted like that. You see, so in the spiritual world there is no time, but still there is time. Still there is Ashtakaliya Leela. This Ashtaprahara is there, and then Radha Krishna have different pastimes in different times of the day. Why? And how come? How come there is no time and then there is time? That is spiritual world. There is time, but it does not have the controlling factor like it has in the material world. For example, the gopis, they dance with Krishna for one night on the earth, but in that one night, Krishna, put one Brahma's night inside. So actually, they danced for 4.32 billion years. 4.32 billion earth years is one night of Brahma. So that long they danced, but Krishna put that whole time in one night of earthly night on this earth. You see how he adjusts the time? So that's what happens in the spiritual world. So like Ashtakaliya Leela. So Ashtakaliya, if the first 3 hours of the day, like say from Brahma Muhurta to sunrise, so 3 hours before sunrise to sunrise, that is one prahara. So now, if Krishna wants that prahara to stay for like millions of years, he can do that. You see, he can do that. So that is spiritual world. And if they want the night Leela to go on for very long, that can also be done. So in other words, time has no control over them, they have complete control over the time. Krishna. Sangeeta, should we chant in that morning tune? Yes. In the morning, in the Mangalarati time. Yes, you should only sing in that tune, not other tune. Sangeeta Sharma Mataji is asking, please tell how you came to Krishna consciousness. Well, that's a topic for another day. She's saying, my son watches you every day. He's a big fan of yours. Hare Krishna. Hopefully you can become a nice devotee. And about my life, well, I'll make another video maybe some other time. But now we are studying the life of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. His life is much more worthy than studying about my life. So, going back. Oh yeah, I need to go here. Ashtakaliya Leela. A so-called Goswami approached Srila Babaji Maharaj to learn the intimate pastimes of the Lord called Ashtakaliya Leela. Actually, these Ashtakaliya Leela is something which we should not delve upon in our current state, because we are not advanced enough to enter into this Radha Krishna understanding. That's why Narottam Das Thakur also said, when I really understand and follow the footsteps of Rupa and Raghunath Das Goswami, then I will have a chance to enter into the understanding of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So he never said, I am a big expert in Radha Krishna Leela, I will explain now. No. In fact, there was an incident of Srila Prabhupada where he was in South Africa, and two Indian women, because in South Africa there's a group of Indian people also, there's an Indian diaspora there. So they, two women, they came also to the temple, and one evening, Prabhupada was giving his darshan, and at that time they asked, Prabhupada, can you talk about Radha Krishna Leela? Prabhupada said, no. Then he changed topic and he was speaking on something else. Then they again insisted, Swamiji, please talk about Radha Krishna Leela. So they insisted 3 times like that. So Prabhupada finally said, well, you may be qualified to hear it, but I am not qualified to speak about it. In that way he rejected. Because this is a subject matter, of course Prabhupada was qualified, but they were not qualified to hear. First of all, chant Hare Krishna. Why? Shikshashtaka, first of all, let us follow that. 10 offenses are there, let us first work on that first. Basics we don't know, what we want to go into postgraduate. Kindergarten hasn't passed yet. We haven't passed our primary. We want to go to postgraduate. So, we have to, acknowledge and accept the level where we are at. We should not say, oh, Prabhu, talk about some deep Radha Krishna love. Let's talk, okay? Let's talk. Hare Krishna chanting, that is Radha Krishna first of all. Golokera Premadhana Harinam Sankirtana. That Radha Krishna love has descended in the form of holy names. So please chant. Yeah? That is Radha Krishna love for you. That's it, finished. So if we cannot do, we are struggling to finish 16 rounds, and we want to talk about Radha Krishna Leela. What is this? Yeah. So a so-called Goswami approached Srila Babaji Maharaj to learn the intimate pastimes of the Lord called Ashtakalya Leela, pastimes pertaining to 8 times of the day. The first time he came, Srila Babaji Maharaj told him, just now I don't have any leisure time, any leisure time. See, I don't have any free time. When I find the opportunity, I will explain it to you. Just like Prabhupada, you see. You may be qualified to hear, I am not qualified to speak. Firstly, politely rejected. As many times as the so-called Goswami came, he received the same answer. I don't have free time now, I will explain some other time. Finally, the Goswami became disappointed and stopped coming. Sometime later, the Paramahamsa remarked, a person who becomes distressed at the loss of a useless coin cannot possibly learn the most intimate pastimes of the Lord. See how nicely he put. A person who becomes distressed at the loss of a useless coin cannot possibly learn the most intimate pastimes of the Lord. That means he is so worried about his money that even a useless coin, if he loses, he is greatly already agitated. He is very careful in keeping his money. That kind of pounds, shillings, pence man cannot understand anything about Ashtakalya Leela. any Leela that in that case. So just by reading a book about the Ashtakaliya Leela, real understanding will not develop. One may theoretically understand it, but where will his spiritual body for assisting the Lord in such pastimes come from? The attempt to reveal the Lord's pastimes in ordinary literature has created havoc. When such things are written in ordinary books, such literature simply adds to a rubbish pile which is already heaped high. Everyone is building a high wooden platform 2 stories high. Then after climbing to the top of the platform, they simply pass stool. So many people come to see me, but none of them are genuine. Before they can understand Ashtakaliya Leela, they will have to give up bad association and continuously chant the holy name in the association of devotees. If they attempt to whimsically perform solitary worship, they will be snared by the illusory energy. You see how they will climb up, they will build a wooden frame 2 stories high and they go up on top and pass stool. Their so-called advancement is nothing but passing stool in a high place. What is the use of climbing so high then? That's a point. Because he's talking about Ashtakaliya Leela, a very high thing. But what? He's not on that plane to understand. He's just passing stool only. That's all. An animal platform, and then what he will understand? The name, form, quality and pastimes of the Lord are manifested within the association of devotees. Wretched persons who do not have full faith in the chanting of the holy name are creating an inauspicious situation for themselves by separately attempting to understand such things. See, without association of devotees, they are trying to understand these things. Their attempt to worship the Lord is undertaken without proper intelligence. Babaji Maharaj hereby declares that such esoteric subjects, Ashtakaliya Leela, Siddha Deha, spiritual body, etc., are not appropriate subjects for discussion with neophyte devotees. See? Those who have at least attained to the platform of Asakti Bhakti, where genuine attachment to Sri Krishna arises, may indeed relish and discuss these topics, having achieved a standard of realization which makes such a discussion relevant. But those of lesser attainments are expected to restrict themselves to the reverential glorification of the Lord in the association of devotees. By dint of that process, the spiritual body, Siddhadeha, the Lord's pastimes, form, etc., are all revealed at the appropriate time. Now we know, like this is Damodar month, for example. And Damodar month, the significance of this month is that the intimate love of the devotees of Krishna in Vrajadham, like his friends, his parents especially, and his gopis, the conjugal lovers. And especially Damodar is about Yashoda's love for Krishna and how she could tie him up, although he is the abode of the entire universe. Now, the whole highlight is on this intimate and spontaneous devotion rather than reverential worship. Now, although that is true, it does not mean that suddenly now, yes, because that is more pleasing to Krishna, so let me talk about only intimate things, and because that will please Krishna more. No, we cannot jump ship. We cannot jump to a platform where we are not there. Although we know, yes, that is the high, very high state, but we should also know that we are not on that level, in that high state. We should know where we are at, and for us, reverential worship is recommended. Until one comes to the point of, asakti, bhava, prema, then yes. Until then, now you may ask, when that will come, that asakti and bhava and prema. Depends on our sincerity. There is a shlok in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bahu janma kare jodi shravan kirtan, tabu tana paya Krishna pade premadhan. See this. Adilila Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 8, text 16. This is a very important verse. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of Godhead. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. So if we chant, but if we commit so many offenses, there are 10 offenses to be avoided. Every day we are actually reading them in the morning. Why? To remind ourselves, so that we remain careful and not commit those mistakes. See? But eventually we will commit those offenses, because without our knowledge itself we are doing so many offenses. Inattentive chanting is a big offense that everybody of us we do. So, how to get over the offenses? Well, by constant chanting. That's the only way. But if we if we are not careful about stopping the offenses, then, even if we chant for many births, we will not get love of Godhead, which is the ultimate goal of the chanting. So, when we will get, that depends on our sincerity. So for us, now we have to follow the rules and regulations and treat Krishna as the most worshipable object of our life. Not like a friend, Krishna likes friendship. Krishna likes actually chastisement, He was bound by Mother Yashoda. That actually brings more happiness to him than all these prayers. Let me chastise Krishna from now. Tomorrow, hey Krishna, I cannot imitate all these things. This is rubbish, nonsense, rascaldom. So I have to treat Krishna with utmost respect. Just like an exalted person in the society, maybe say Prime Minister. Now, if you go and meet the Prime Minister for the first time, or you don't know the person much, and not only Prime Minister, take anybody, say your colleague in the workplace. Now, when you don't know the person, when you're first only introduced to that person, you don't crack like jokes with him in a way that is, maybe mildly even insulting at times. But when you have very good, somebody is your best friend, known each other for many years, then you're much more free with that person, right? So that the relationship has to deepen. Without the same joke which you made with your friend, if you make with a person whom you are meeting for the first time, he will get offended. But that same person who got offended doesn't mind the same thing if his own friend told him. So similarly, we have to first of all establish and nurture the relationship with Krishna before we can come to that platform of dealing with him in an intimate way. Now we are just getting acquainted with Krishna. We cannot imitate as if we are like a long lost friend. Of course we are a long lost friend, but he is our friend. We have not been true to the friendship. But we cannot treat him like nothing has gone wrong ever. Hi, how are you? I cannot treat Krishna like that. For trillions of years, we have neglected him. We should be guilty. We should be guilty that we did not heed his instructions. And we have been atheist all these lives. For trillions of years. How come? For trillions and trillions and trillions of years, we just did the same nonsense, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, passing stool and urine. Krishna has been calling and calling and calling, waiting and waiting and waiting, supplying everything in the meantime, even though we were completely against him. And then now, suddenly, I become very intimate and I crack jokes with Krishna and then I chastise Krishna. Who am I? And this is the reason why we have to have utmost reverence and respect. And even it is not that the friends don't have any respect for Krishna. They have. Their only thing is to please Krishna. Not that they're disrespectful. No. They're not disrespectful. Because Krishna wants them to chastise him, that's why they chastise. Not that they simply chastise out of mood. My mood is off, I will chastise you now. No, not their mood at all. They only care for Krishna's satisfaction. Yashoda Mai also tied him up because she understood that Krishna wants to be tied. Everything always for pleasing Krishna. Like that. That is the proper way. The Anukulyana Krishnanushīlanam. Gopis used to dress themselves very nicely, decorate themselves. Why? So that if Krishna sees us, he will be happy. Not because when Krishna sees us, he will tell that I am very beautiful, then I will take selfie with him. No. Come on. Their only thing is to satisfy Krishna, not whether Krishna will appreciate their beauty and then they become the most important gopi in the whole in the band of gopis. No, they are not interested in all these things. They just want Krishna to be happy by seeing their beautiful face. That's why they decorate themselves nicely and approach him. Everything is for Krishna. Although it looks like lust, but it's completely different quality, love. Anyway, let's go to the next. So these things, these are very high things. We cannot, openly discuss these things. We have to have all respect for those dealings, but we have to, behave according to our standard. Not that according to our standard means, I am a fallen soul, Prabhu. I will behave like a fallen soul. Let me engage in all the 4 sinful activities. No. Third class devotee. Okay, third class devotee. Well, let's try to advance. Where am I? I have to understand. And then, yes, take it further from there. Improve myself. Next, an unusual bhajan kutir. On another occasion, Srila Babaji Maharaj remarked, "It is not possible to properly worship the Supreme Lord in an outhouse." Having made this remark, he saw that the people in his vicinity could not grasp his meaning, and so he explained, "A house where persons always indulge in eating and sensual pleasure is not a place for sadhus. Such places may appear to be ashrams or temples, but they are the abodes of lust. Sensual life may be permissible for the demigods, but not for the devotees of the Lord." You see that? Materialistic persons who live in this way imagine they are residing in heaven, but they actually live in a deep pool of excrement in the form of sense objects of the material world. You know what's excrement? Stool. They are in the Kuvishaya. What is that? Kuvishaya Kupe. Goainu Janam. Kuvishaya Kupe Pade Goainu Janam. That is how Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami introduced themselves to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We have fallen into the stinking ditch of sense gratification. So it is actually like living in a deep pool of excrement, but they think it is a heavenly enjoyment, just like the worm in the stool. Oh, stool means, this is Amrit. They think it is Amrit. It is better than Somras in the heavens. Stool. A pig is also thinking like that. Indra, he became pig. He didn't want to go back. He thought stool is nice. What Somras? Where? I want stool. I want, what is that? What is the word for stool? Vit rasa. No need Somarasa. Vit rasa. Vidbhujam. Vidbhujam means stool eating animals. Vitbhujam. Vit means stool. So sensual life may be permissible for the demigods, but not for the devotees of the Lord. Materialistic persons who live in this way imagine they are residing in heaven, but they actually live in a deep pool of excrement in the form of sense objects of the material world. However, when those who seriously worship the Supreme Lord take full shelter of Him, wherever they reside becomes non-different to Sri Radha Kund, the supremely holy pond of Sri Radha. This is in Vrindavan, at the foothills of the Govardhan hill. A few days after these remarks were made, the proprietor of a Navadvip Dharmashala named Mr. Girish, accompanied by his wife, came to see Babaji Maharaj. The proprietor's wife very humbly requested Babaji Maharaj to allow them to build a bhajan kutir, a small cottage for worship, for him. They wanted to build a bhajan kutir for Gaurkeshwar Das Babaji. So they came to him and said, Babaji Maharaj, we want to build a bhajan kutir for you. They remarked that during the rainy and cold seasons he was undergoing extreme hardship in the thatched cottage where he was residing. Hearing this, Babaji Maharaj replied, "No, I am not experiencing even the slightest hardship. But there is one thing which causes me difficulty. If you will agree to help me, then I will tell you what it is." The couple expressed their eagerness, and so he continued, "Many people come to me with selfish motives. They do not desire their real welfare, and they simply create a disturbance to my bhajan, to my chanting, my devotional service. If you can give me your latrine," what's a latrine? Toilet bowl. "If you can give me your latrine, it will serve as a favorable place for my chanting the holy name of the Lord. There I shall be able to worship the holy name without disturbance. People will hate to go there. If you cannot do this, then do not disturb me and make me waste this human form of life." Wow. Not laughing because it's a joke, but it's unimaginable the way he is thinking. So they want to build a bhajan kutir for him so that he can chant nicely. He said, no. That will make me even more popular, and more and more people will come and disturb me, my chanting. When I am chanting, they will come and say, "Oh, blessing," and then they're not interested in spiritual life. I don't want my human life to be wasted. So you give me your toilet bowl, your latrine. I will sit there and I will chant. Nobody will come there. They will hate to come there. And then in that way I can be free from any disturbances. See how he is thinking. On hearing this, Mr. Girish's wife exclaimed, "Oh, most revered Babaji, we are prepared to obey your command, but if we let a saint live in our privy, it will be a great sin for us." Babaji Maharaj replied, "I am not a saint. Those who are pujaris where the temple deities are worshipped, or others who keep matted hair and wear tree bark, are saints. I am unable to worship the Lord in a proper way, so a privy is the right place for me." See, even not only for not getting disturbed, but in fact he thought himself, you see how he is. Those who are worshipping the deities and the pujaris in the temple, and then those who keep matted hair, those who wear tree barks, they are saints. I am unable to worship the Lord in a proper way. So privy means toilet. A toilet is the right place for me. If you can oblige me in this way, then say so. Otherwise, I shall not listen to you any longer. You get out. If you cannot help me in this way, you get out. Having no other alternative, Girish and his wife agreed to the proposal and said, "Even if you do not utilize the room adjoining the privy, there will be 2 chambers there for those who serve you." Girish had the exterior of the privy renovated by masons and the interior thoroughly cleansed. Otherwise, the inner structure was left unchanged for fear that the Babaji would be displeased. The inner toilet, they did not make any renovation. Because if it is too neat and everything, then maybe the Babaji Maharaj will leave the place. He doesn't want that kind of nice place. So they kept it dirty. And they kept it like, not so well done. Wow. Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj stayed in the public latrine of a dharmashala to teach people in general that attachment to material affairs under the pretense of devotion is more foul smelling than excreta. Attachment to material affairs under the pretense of devotion is more foul smelling than excreta. In fact, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said it is worse than stool of the hog. Hog is already a stool eating animal. Now, if the hog passes stool, there is a stool of stool. So the pride and all these materialistic desires in the heart, these is just like stool of the hog, stool squared. So Kaka Singh is asking, what are the 10 offenses? Well, we don't have time to go through all that. We have already done a lecture on 10 offenses. Maybe the moderator can share the link to that class, the lecture we did on the 10 offenses. Kaka Singh can have that, can watch that. Then next chapter, unlawful imitation and wickedness. There was no space in the latrine to accommodate more than one person. Babaji Maharaj used to bolt the door from the inside and chant the holy name of the Lord. Adjoining the privy was a dilapidated chamber. A man named Madhu moved into that room, had the roof repaired with tin, and began to chant in imitation of Babaji Maharaj. One day Babaji Maharaj called out to him saying, "What are you doing and what are you contemplating in that room with the door closed? What are you thinking about in your secluded state? He who does not chant the holy name of Hari in the association of devotees free from offense is not in a position to see anything but the 4 walls of a room. Are you seeing the surroundings? Are you thinking about desirable women, fame or material gain? If you remain in that room, then different kinds of rubbish thoughts will assail you." Look at that. How strict he was, you see. Wow. What are you doing and what are you contemplating in that room with the door closed? What are you thinking about in your secluded state? He who does not chant the holy name of Hari in the association of devotees free from offense is not in a position to see anything but the 4 walls of a room. Are you seeing the surroundings? Are you thinking about the desirable women, fame or material gain? If you remain in that room, then different kinds of rubbish thoughts will assail you. Wow. Okay, this is the link for that 10 offenses lecture. Is there in the comments. Srila Gaurkishore, although physically blind, then demonstrated his capacity for seeing by disclosing Madhu's hypocrisy. He informed the hypocrite that he was cognizant of all of his secret acts, how he had stolen the money and food which was left for Babaji Maharaj by others, and how he had gone to various places in Navadvip to indulge in illicit intercourse with women. Wow. Eventually, this imitator became the victim of a serious disease. He became so ill that after a few days his friends had to come and carry him away to his house. It has thus been demonstrated how, as a result of offences committed by the imitation of a Mahabhagavat, one eventually falls down. He taught how worldly people, under the pretense of religious activities, experience only the seeming pleasure of sense gratification, which is compared to living in stool. Srila Babaji Maharaj displayed these pastimes with a view to instructing his followers. Kaka Singh is saying thank you. You're welcome. Hare Krishna. Next, desire for scholarship. A brahmachari named Ayatra Punya approached Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji and requested him to allow him to perform bhajan in his association. Bhajan means what? Not simply some sit down and sing. That is also bhajan. Bhajan means Krishna conscious service, basically. Any service is bhajan. Bhaj dhatu. Bhaj means to serve. You should. So he requested to allow him to perform bhajan in his association. So Srila Babaji Maharaj advised him, you should desist from committing offences at the lotus feet of Vaishnavas and engage yourself in chanting the holy name in the association of pure devotees. Just a second. The brahmachari heard this instruction but was disinclined to follow it. Without informing Babaji Maharaj, he went to Radhadesh and introduced himself there as a disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and begged money, saying that it was for getting instruction in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Upon returning, he began to study grammar with a learned scholar. He thought that if he could become literate, then he would be respected. He considered that because Srila Babaji Maharaj was illiterate, he could not be very advanced. One day he visited Babaji Maharaj and was told, you are studying grammar in order to get women and material position. Hearing this, Ayatra replied that he had no such evil desires, but he simply wanted to learn grammar so that he could understand the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Babaji Maharaj attempted to help him again and told him, you have been to West Bengal and saw how reciters of the Puranas make their living by reciting the Bhagavatam. Therefore, you have become greedy and want to fill your begging bowl. If you desire your actual welfare, give up your offensive greed and engage yourself sincerely in worshipping the Lord. The foolish brahmachari once again ignored the good advice of Babaji Maharaj. On yet another occasion, the brahmachari came to Babaji Maharaj and prayed, please be merciful to me. Srila Babaji Maharaj was silent for some time. Then he said, you are thinking of earning your livelihood. Do not try to fulfill your desires in that way. No one present at the time could understand to what Babaji Maharaj referred. When the would-be reciter left, Babaji Maharaj told those present, he is having illicit intercourse with a widow. He then instructed everyone there for their benefit, saying, do not persuade others to commit sinful activities, and if desires other than devotional service arise in your minds, please come to me before acting and allow your minds to be changed. You see? By this instruction, Srila Babaji Maharaj indicated that illicit sex is the most abominable and forbidden act. He who externally behaves like a sadhu but secretly has illicit intercourse commits an even more heinous sin. This is something, which is going on even in the present day ISKCON. So many so-called gurus, they are doing this and masquerading still as gurus. Nonsense. Devotion and hypocrisy. A certain Damodar Das came to live with Babaji Maharaj for some time. You see, basically, see the theme, basically is always exposing some hypocrisy. You see? Again, this chapter is also devotion and hypocrisy. Previous one also devotion and hypocrisy. Previous one also devotion and hypocrisy. See? Mostly it's like that. A certain Damodar Das came to live with Babaji Maharaj for some time. For this, he gained some respect from the local people. He had originally come from Orissa, where he had formerly been married. Once, his former father-in-law came to visit him. Father-in-law was accustomed to go from place to place with a manuscript of Srimad Bhagavatam in his hand, reciting it as a means of earning his livelihood. Babaji Maharaj had permitted Damodar Das to collect substantial donations from the pilgrims who visited him. Without informing Babaji Maharaj, Damodar Das gave a certain portion of the collection to his father-in-law. The omniscient Babaji came to know of it, and he stopped talking to Damodar Das. Prior to this incident, Damodar Das had occasionally been allowed to boil rice for Maharaj, but after the theft, Babaji Maharaj stopped eating anything touched by him. He reverted to his practice of eating rice soaked in water. He did not even cook rice. He just soaked it in water overnight and then he ate like that. Realizing he had been discovered, the Orissan became terrified and other associates of Babaji Maharaj became disturbed. The Orissan means the state Orissa, in the India. So the person coming from Orissa is Orissan, like that. The Orissan began to fast from all food and water. When Srila Gaurkishora Das Babaji was informed of this, he said, "If this worldly person does not leave me immediately, then I will give up my life by drowning in the river Ganges." Shortly thereafter, Babaji Maharaj plunged into the waters of the holy river. Seeing this, the people who were on the scene immediately went to his rescue. He shouted at them, "Leave me alone, don't touch me. If I cannot perform Hari Bhajan, then I will not bear this body anymore." The people insisted on rescuing him, however. When he was revived and made comfortable, he asked the people, "Why did you take me from the Ganga? This Orissan has given away all that I have to his father." Hearing this, the people told him they would replace whatever he had lost. They would give him 4 times what the Orissan had given his father and were prepared to bring the money immediately. Srila Babaji Maharaj told them, "I don't need the money, but I refuse to keep this Orissan in my association. If I live with a hypocrite, then my bhajan will be hindered." Many of the people had thought that the Babaji had wanted to drown himself due to his attachment to money. Now, however, they could understand the truth. He was not attached to money, but he could not tolerate hypocrisy in the name of service. Hypocrisy or deceit is the sole province of Krishna. Only he can exhibit it without sinful reaction. When an ordinary person practices deceit, it is an unlawful imitation of the Lord. Next, the enjoying spirit of the materialist. Once, Srila Gaurkishore Prabhu gave 100 rupees to Srila Saraswati Thakur for safekeeping. In order to keep it secure, Srila Prabhupada means here Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, deposited the money in a bank. One day in his absence, Srila Babaji Maharaj suddenly came to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and requested him for the money. The Thakur informed the Babaji that Saraswati Thakur has deposited the money in the bank, and in his absence it could not be withdrawn. Babaji Maharaj declared that he needed the money urgently and insisted on having it at once. Seeing no other alternative, the Thakur took the money from his own pocket and paid him. The Babaji sent that money to a well-known person in Vrindavan, and having sent it, he remarked, "Considering me a Vaishnava, people have given me money for my enjoyment, but I am not a Vaishnava. There are Vaishnavas at Vraja. I have sent the money for their service." Whatever money the people had given him in the consideration that he was a great Vaishnava, the Babaji had kept, but not for his personal enjoyment. He always utilized any funds he collected in the service of other Vaishnavas. The Babaji said, "Things which are obtained by madhukari, begging, that is going from place to place for sustenance like a bee, are transcendental. One should eat what is necessary for sustaining his worship of Hari." You see, one should eat what is necessary for sustaining his worship of Hari. If one accepts more than he needs, his heart will become contaminated and an obstruction will arise in his worship of Lord Hari. In the Bhagavatam also 1.2.10, it is said, "Kamasya nendriya pritir labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jignasa nartho yascheha karmabhi." We should only do things, eating or sleeping and everything, just enough for our maintenance of the body, not more than that. So in this way, he was always eager to serve the Vaishnavas and the Dhamvasis. What was the chapter name? The enjoying spirit of the materialist. In the hope of acquiring wealth, next chapter 24. in the hope of acquiring wealth. One day, Govinda Goswami of Kulia, Navadvip, accompanied by a person in the garb of a Vaishnava ascetic, came to Babaji Maharaj and said, Babaji, I have been abroad and have thus not been able to have your darshan for a long time. Srila Babaji Maharaj said, for your bhajan at Navadvip, you have been provided with a large house there as well as a well-constructed latrine. Why have you gone to the trouble of leaving the country? Why have you gone to these other places? At this, the man's friend said, he goes to other places for the deliverance of the people there. If our Prabhu did not go to other lands, what would happen to those people? Hearing this, Babaji Maharaj felt extremely disgusted and remarked, if it is your real object to elevate people of other lands, why do you desire the wealth of a king? I have studied your mentality. You are planning to construct a brick house. If you will only sincerely engage in Hari Bhajan and not consider yourself a Prabhu, I will inform Lord Nityananda and you will have 50 brick houses. See how Gaurkishore Das Babaji. See, Gaurkishore Das Babaji can inform Lord Nityananda. Means how intimate connection he has, you see. And then he can get everything done. But he himself does not have any house. Gaurkishore Das Babaji. You see. This is the thing about devotee. He can get anything from the Lord, but he does not ask anything. Even liberation also he does not ask. Alright, so, but you desire accommodations for the material enjoyment of your sons and daughters, and thus Nitai will provide you with material paraphernalia and deprive you of love of Krishna. If in the name of liberating humanity you seek material profit, adoration and acclaim, then you will become fallen. What to speak of being liberated? The people will simply be cheated. Having thus spoken, Srila Babaji Maharaj started chanting loudly and refused to stop until that evening. He cautioned those listening that as a result of an offense to the holy name of an offense, or an offense in worshipping the deity, one will achieve three results. Okay, you see, something important. He cautioned those listening that as a result of an offense to the holy name or an offense in worshipping the deity, one will achieve three results: dharma, mundane piety; artha, material opulence; and kama, sense pleasure. These are actually misfortunes for the living entity. Our Guru, Lord Nityananda, cheats pseudo devotees by supplying their material wants but depriving them of love of God. Wow. If you commit offenses in Krishna's service, then what will be the result? Then you will get mundane piety. You will degenerate from devotional service to some ordinary pious work. That's what happens. And next is artha. You will get material opulence if you offend Krishna. Oh, that means good, no? You offend Krishna and you get material opulence and become rich. But that is a miserable condition. With money also comes a lot of problems. These are actually misfortunes for the living entity. And kama, sense pleasure. Get, attractive women. So in this way, one is enamored by these things and then he cannot concentrate on Krishna consciousness anymore. The same thing happened with Vishwamitra, you see. He was meditating and then Indra sent Menaka and then finished. So that is apparently, some nice thing, no? At least he could have some nice relationship with a beautiful girl of the heavenly planets. For an earthly man to have a heavenly, girlfriend. Oh, he's like, match made in heaven, literally. But what happened? That is considered a fall down. For an ordinary materialist, wow, this is the luckiest thing. If a man can get a beautiful girl, he thinks he's successful. You see? So, what to speak of a girl of this world, girl of the heavens, and one of the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, how can he refuse? For a man, that is like, wow, this is the best. But that is actually a fall down. So when one offends the holy name or when he is worshipping the deity, then he will get these things: dharma, artha and kama. Gaura, Gaura, not rupee, rupee. Next. Once, some people came to Babaji Maharaj and praised the son of a certain caste Goswami for his skill in explaining the Srimad Bhagavatam. The boy always chanted Gaura, Gaura and expressed a variety of emotional feelings. In this way, he made many disciples. In reply, Babaji Maharaj told the people, this so-called Goswami cannot explain the Goswami's literature. He explains sense gratificatory Shastra. He does not chant Gaura Gaura. He shouts rupees, rupees, my rupees. As long as he maintains this mentality, there is no question of his performing Hari Bhajan. By reason of his materialistic activity, the Vaishnava Dharma remains concealed. It affords no benefit to the world. On the contrary, it creates a disturbance. Wow. See? He was only professional speaker of Bhagavatam. So see how much ever they have good qualities, he will find that thing which will obstruct their devotional service. If he just increases their ego, massaging their ego, then what will happen? They will ultimately fall away. So that's why he used to point out to the fault and laser focused at the faults, so that they can actually understand and learn from their mistakes. Next, one suffers the consequences of his own deeds. A certain young man came to Babaji Maharaj and expressed a desire to learn how to worship the Lord. Hearing this, Babaji Maharaj said, if you can leave aside the association of pseudo Vaishnavas and Avaishnavas and can stay with us always, then you will be able to learn how to chant the holy name of Lord Hari. We maintain ourselves by living on remnants of the foodstuffs eaten by the inhabitants of the Dham. We use the rejected earthen pots of the residents of the Dham, and we collect and wear the discarded cloth used to cover corpses. If you associate with other so-called Vaishnavas or those practicing worldly religion, they will consider you untouchable and reject you, or you will commit the offense of touching them. Hearing this, the young man said, yes, whatever you say, that I shall do. After a while, however, being charmed by the melodious voice of a bhajan performer named Ramadas, who dwelt close by, he joined him in kirtan without Babaji Maharaj's knowledge. The young man also ate so-called prasad with and accepted the gift of a pair of kartals from him. One evening, shortly thereafter, he chanted within the hearing of Babaji Maharaj, playing his new kartals. A few days later, after taking his morning bath in the Ganga, the young man began loudly reciting Vaishnava Vandan within the hearing of Babaji Maharaj. When the young man went to collect alms, Babaji Maharaj called an attendant and said, he is secretly coming and going to the house of Ramdas, and whatever devotion he is gathering there, he is trying to spread here. In fact, instead of devotion for Lord Hari, he is amassing sinful reactions. Hearing this, someone said to Babaji Maharaj, who has informed you of all these things? Babaji Maharaj replied, by hearing his chanting and his manner of reading the Vaishnava Vandan, I have been able to analyze him. He will not be permitted to stay here anymore. If a man once takes the bad association of counterfeit Vaishnavas or non-Vaishnavas, he will never follow any beneficial instruction. Wow, this is very important, huh? He will only learn hypocrisy. This is so true actually. You see, we'll read that again. Babaji Maharaj found out by the manner of his reading the Vaishnava Vandan and he analyzed him. He will not be permitted to stay here anymore. If a man once takes the bad association of counterfeit Vaishnavas or non-Vaishnavas, he will never follow any beneficial instructions. He will only learn hypocrisy. Wow. Actually, this happened 3 days ago. 3 days ago, when a certain person came from ISKCON here to the temple, and we were trying to, of course, educate him about the Ritvik system and Srila Prabhupada's initiation system and everything. And we were showing, Shastra, we were showing Prabhupada's letter, Prabhupada's will and everything. He said to Prabhu, how can you say that there are no sincere people in ISKCON? So we explained, see, they may be sincere people, but if they are following a leader who is insincere, it means if you sincerely follow an insincere person, the result will be a failure. You cannot sincerely follow an insincere person. It amounts to insincerity. In mathematics, the first step is gone. Even if you do everything else correctly, the answer will be wrong. So similarly, even if one is sincerely following, but the person who he is following is insincere, then finish. So that was just one of the arguments. But we were showing all the evidences. When we showed the will of Prabhupada, where he says, my initiated disciple, the future, the property trustees, directors of the properties, the future, if somebody dies or he fails to act for any reason, then the successor trustee or the director of the property has to be, Prabhupada said, my initiated disciple. So that's a very, very specific phrase. It only means disciples, initiated disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and nothing else. But he was interpreting in his own way. Oh, actually, my initiated disciple means from my, not from my god brothers or anything, from my disciple, that chain, that branch. That's what he's meaning. But this is his own interpretation. Never he said, Prabhupada said like that. He did not say my grand disciple or my disciples' disciples. No, he said my initiated disciple. How can a person who is initiated disciple of an initiated disciple be his disciple? Now, are we disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur? No. We are his grand disciples. He is our grand spiritual master. In Sanskrit, the exact word is used. The Guru is our Guru, and then his Guru is called Paramaguru, and then Mahaguru, Parapara Guru, Parameshta Guru. So in this way, there are, the previous acharyas, they have specific title, specific designation according to our position in the parampara. So if when Prabhupada has said my initiated disciple, it only means one thing, that they have to be initiated by Srila Prabhupada, and that means only Ritvik system can go on, because after the present disciples of Prabhupada have passed away, then the future, where will the properties go? So when we are showing all these things in a logical way, he is just queuing out meanings, So he was just saying that ISKCON, you cannot say that they are not sincere people, but by his own behavior he did not show any sincerity. He did not show any sincerity because he was not in a mood to learn. He was just, whatever you say, he will say the opposite. No, actually this is true. Actually, where is the? He asks he asks us for so much proof, but he did not show even one proof of anything. We showed him so many documents, so many Shastric quotes, everything. This is how they brainwashed. And why did this happen? Why am I telling this story now? Because here you see, if a man once takes bad association of counterfeit Vaishnavas or non-Vaishnavas, he will never follow any beneficial instruction. He will only learn hypocrisy. This is so true. This is exactly what we experienced on the other day. So after this incident, the young man, without informing Babaji Maharaj, suddenly left for Puri. Sorrowfully, Babaji Maharaj said, that boy has become misguided. One second. That boy has been misguided. He was tempted by unsanctified food and other things. I was not able to protect him. The jiva is independent and reaps the result of his own deeds. Inspired by Krishna, he came to me, but he secretly associated with others and has invited great danger. Now he will garb himself as a Vaishnava ascetic. In this way, the ill-intentioned persons of this world assist ordinary people in assuming the garb of devotees and turn them into fools. Hypocrites who receive obeisances from others and are greedy for good food assume the guise of Vaishnavas. Their pretentious chanting of the Lord's holy name is nothing but the noise made by frogs. The more they croak, the sooner they will be swallowed by the snake of material enjoyment. About a month later, the young man returned to Navadvip. He had assumed the dress of a religious mendicant, accompanied by the Mahant, head priest of a nearby ashram. He came to see Babaji Maharaj. After offering obeisances, the Mahant said, your disciple has returned from Puri. He has become an advanced Vaishnava and thinks himself fortunate. He has served Haridas Thakur and is performing bhajan on the platform of spontaneous devotion. At this, Babaji Maharaj said, I cannot determine what sort of disciple of mine he is. In this world, I do not see anyone as a disciple. I have not been able to become a disciple. Therefore, how can I expect to be the spiritual master of others? See, Gaurkishore Das Babaji is so humble. He said, I am myself not fit to be a disciple of anyone. I have not become a proper disciple of anyone, first of all. How can I be a guru of somebody? Exactly what the ISKCON is doing. I mean, not to point fingers at them and I'm a very good devotee or what. No. Of course, I make so many mistakes, I make so many offenses. I'm learning. I'm a work in progress myself. But at least there is, acknowledgement. Yes, there's some problem with me. I'm learning. But these people, they are sitting on the position of gurus when they can't even be a proper disciple. Disciple means to follow the instruction of the guru. And Guru did not, Prabhupada did not say to them, ask them to become gurus. So they are not even, they are blatantly disobeying the order. How can they become gurus when they are not even fit to be a disciple? So by his humility, by his humble behavior, he is teaching us that if a person can't even be a proper disciple, how can he be a guru? If one artificially assumes the garb of a Vaishnava, what sort of Vaishnava will he be? The noise created by frog-like hypocrites is neither Harinam nor Haribhajan. The show of spontaneous devotion of such frog-like people is for achieving the happiness of sense pleasure, but they cannot enjoy that happiness for long. The black snake of material enjoyment will swallow them. It is not so easy to serve Haridas Thakur. Why are you spoiling your life in the dress of a Mahanta? Why don't you leave all this aside and chant the holy name with purity? To this stern query, the Mahant replied, I have no material motive in taking up this position. It is only for the welfare of the Bhajan ashram and for the service of the Vaishnavas. This area was overgrown and I have cut down the tangle of vegetation and tidied the area. Hearing this, Babaji Maharaj was extremely mortified and he refused to talk with the Mahant. When the Mahant left, Babaji Maharaj told those nearby, this atheistic person has informed me that he has cut the wish-fulfilling trees and creepers of Navadvip. Alas, alas, just see. It grieves us to cut even a solitary dry tree of Navadvip. These trees and plants are our eternal friends. They assist Lord Gaura in his eternal pastimes. These cruel persons never achieve the qualification to perform the devotional service to Lord Hari. By making an outward show of being a Vaishnava, they bring misfortune to themselves and to others as well. See, even the trees of the dham, of the holy place, are to be worshipped. The atonement for adultery. A few days after this incident, a person called Himavan came to see Srila Gaur Maharaj Das Babaji, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, and begged him to allow him to stay in one of the Dharmashala rooms. The proprietors of the Dharmashala kept all the rooms on the northern side under the control of Srila Babaji Maharaj. Himavan was permitted to stay in one of these rooms. Srila Babaji Maharaj told him within the hearing of others, he who wants to perform Haribhajan will not associate with worldly people. Those who secretly contemplate accepting such bad association while making a show of good association, or who associate with religious hypocrites, develop sinful tendencies. It's so important, you see. Those who secretly contemplate accepting such bad association while making a show of good association, or who associate with religious hypocrites, develop sinful tendencies. I have seen many thousands of people ruining themselves by taking recourse to hypocrisy. Tolerating many troubles patiently, if one constantly hears and chants in the association of Vaishnavas, he can maintain his worship of the holy name. So this way he was again cutting down the hypocrisy. In fact, many of these leelas are connected with that, cutting down of hypocrisy. See? So, reading on, even after being so instructed, Himavan used to secretly converse with hypocritical religionists. Babaji Maharaj, upon considering this, became extremely angry, and shortly thereafter, Himavan became seriously ill. Seeing his suffering, the supremely merciful Babaji Maharaj asked one of his attendants to serve him. After a few days, it was observed that a young woman came and began tending to Himavan. The omniscient Babaji Maharaj came to know of this and asked his servant, "Who is serving Himavan?" The servant replied, "I am serving Himavan. No one else is doing so." Babaji Maharaj demanded in a deep thundering voice, "Is anyone else coming to him?" At this, the frightened servant admitted, "Yes, a woman comes to him." When Babaji Maharaj received this confirmation, he instructed the servant, "As that woman is coming to serve him, you should not go to him any longer." Babaji Maharaj called for Himavan and informed him, "If you want to stay here, you will have to pay me 15 rupees. If you cannot afford to pay 15 rupees, then you should go somewhere else. Because if you happen to die, the money will be required to meet the expenses of your cremation." If you cannot afford to pay 15 rupees, then you should go somewhere else, because if you happen to die, the money will be required to meet the expenses of your cremation. Wow. Like, I need to collect fees so that I can cremate you when you die. You know how he's saying, you see. Because basically it was, okay, I'll show you a verse. Why he so used such a harsh word. You see this Madhya Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 11, text 8. निष्किञ्चनस्य भगवद्भजनोन्मुखस्य पारम्परं जिगमिषोर्भवसागरस्य सन्दर्शनं विषयिणाम् अथ योषितां च हा हन्त हन्त विषभक्षणतोऽप्यसाधु. Greatly lamenting the Lord then informed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, alas, for a person who is seriously desiring to cross the material ocean and engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord without material motives, seeing a materialist engaged in sense gratification or seeing a woman who is similarly interested is more abominable than drinking poison willingly. That means it's worse than even committing suicide. So his association with women, he was secretly associating for something. Babaji Maharaj disapproved of that. See? This is a quotation from Sri Chaitanya Chandrodaya Natak 8.23. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enunciates the principles for a sannyasi renouncing the material world for spiritual enjoyment. I'm reading from the purport of that verse. Spiritual advancement is not meant for magic shows and jugglery, but for crossing the material world and being transferred to the spiritual world. Param param jigamisho means desiring to go to the other side of the material world. There is a river called Vaitarani, and on one side of the river is the material one, and on the other side is the spiritual world. Since the Vaitarani river is compared to a great ocean, it is named Bhavasagar, the ocean of repeated birth and death. Spiritual life aims at stopping this repetition of birth and death and entering into the spiritual world where one can live eternally cognizant and blissful. Unfortunately, the general populace do not know anything about spiritual life or the spiritual world. The spiritual world is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita 8.20. Anyway, that goes on. But you see, to see seeing a materialist engaged in sense gratification or seeing a woman who is similarly interested is more abominable than drinking poison willingly. Therefore, he said, you give me 15 rupees so that I can build a crematorium when you die. I need money to do that. So you see, so in this way, he chastised him. After this, Babaji Maharaj said quietly to himself, if I do not let this man stay here, the woman will inevitably take him to her house. That is her desire, and she will then be able to nurse him at her ease. After suffering for a long time, Himavan was cured of the disease and he then left for Vrindavan. Srila Babaji Maharaj ignored him and offered no resistance to his going. Having journeyed to Vrindavan, Himavan stayed with Damodar Das of Kusum Sarovar. This Damodar Das was well known to Babaji Maharaj. After circumambulating the 12 forests of Vrindavan, Himavan went to Damodar Das one day and said, in the garb of a Vaishnava, I have committed adultery. Please tell me how I can save myself. Damodar Das said, you must give up your life. Apart from this, there is no atonement. This is what has been prescribed by Mahaprabhu. Himavan had a few grains of opium brought from Govardhan and took it. After ingesting the opium, he perspired profusely and trembling came to Damodar Das and informed him that he had taken opium with the view of giving up his life. After taking repeated doses, he lost his life. Simultaneously, Damodar Das was also attacked by a deadly disease. At that time, a certain Goswami was in Vrindavan. He arranged for Damodar Das's treatment and helped to serve him. As soon as Damodar recovered, he returned to Navadvip and came to see Sri Babaji Maharaj. Seeing him, Babaji Maharaj warned him, you stay somewhere else. If you stay here with me, you will lose your life. Because there are two dacoits nearby. One is Narendran and the other is Larai. Professing to be my servants, they have made propaganda with my neighbors that they are staying with me. Where they stay at night, I do not know. Once in the dead of night, I called for them to bring me a glass of water. I shouted for a long time, but there was no response from them. The following morning, when I mentioned this to them, they said, we didn't hear a thing. Thereafter, being ignored by Babaji Maharaj, Damodar Das took shelter in the house of a certain young woman. Hearing about these activities from others, Babaji Maharaj became furious and said, "Don't speak about any of this in my presence." Another hypocrite in the dress of a Vaishnava had also lived at Kusum Sarovar with Damodar Das. He was similarly rejected by Babaji Maharaj. A story was related that during the night several dacoits took out his eyes and cut his body to pieces. Wow. People said that the duplicitous fellow had stolen goods with him which he had kept well hidden. He was cruelly murdered by the dacoits on their account. These incidents vividly illustrate the danger of posing as a Vaishnava by secretly associating with materialists and committing sinful activity. The young man who went to Vrindavan, associated with sinful persons, and fell down with a young woman, was unjustly advised by the hypocrite Damodar Das to commit suicide. Damodar Das suggested an atonement which he himself could never have performed, and for an evil act he later indulged in himself. Although suicide is sometimes prescribed as the atonement for such misbehavior on the part of the sannyasi and was approved of by Mahaprabhu in the case of Junior Haridas, taking recourse to the constant chanting of the holy name is generally considered sufficient atonement provided the malefactor is prepared to give up his evil ways. At any rate, it can be easily concluded from these incidents that sinful activities conducted by someone dressed as a liberated Vaishnava have particularly grave consequences. Of course, it should not be imagined that it is hypocritical not to indulge in. It should not be imagined that it is hypocritical not to indulge in the sinful things one may desire in one's impure heart. If one feels unable to decry that evil with which he is yet afflicted, then he should keep silent but steadfastly refuse to succumb to it. Just like Srila Prabhupada said, when an ordinary man he commits a crime, he will get punished. But if a policeman commits a crime, he is punished doubly, because he is supposed to not only know the law but also uphold the law. But he himself goes and does something very bad, then he has to be punished. So similarly, a person who is in the dress of a Vaishnava and does all these hypocritical things, having affairs and all this, breaking the principles, then such person has to be taught a lesson. Of course, suicide is one way, but chanting Hare Krishna is more. Prabhupada also, he also said that. In fact, he said in a humble way. Once one sannyasi, Vishnujan Swami, he asked Prabhupada on a morning walk. Prabhupada was walking with many of his disciples, and Vishnujan Swami asked him, what should a sannyasi do if he breaks any principles? Then Prabhupada said, then he must commit suicide. Then when he said that, this Vishnujan Swami, because there was a lot of people with Prabhupada, then he slowly went back in the crowd, and after that incident he was never to be seen. But so it is understood that he has committed suicide by drowning himself in a river or something like that. But now, just when he left behind everybody else, then Prabhupada said, Prabhupada continued. He said, then he should commit suicide. Then there was a long pause. In that pause, he went behind. So after the pause, Prabhupada continued from where he left off. He said, but of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Haridas, that Junior Haridas, and he left for him to die. But I cannot do that. He is Mahaprabhu. He could have preached the whole world alone. But I need help from all of you. I cannot do away with you. I need all of you. So if you cannot, then at least accept a wife. Even though sannyasi, if you have fallen down, then what to do? The only other thing is, instead of having with everybody else, have a wife and continue your life and chant Hare Krishna and take it from there. So Prabhupada gave that kind of instruction. But Vishnujan Swami did not hear that and he committed suicide. Of course, there were other reasons also why he committed suicide. One of the Swamis was actually Tamal Krishna, I think, was getting on his case, and anyway, that's another story. I don't want to go into that. So, of course, it should not be imagined that it is hypocritical not to indulge in sinful things one may desire in one's impure heart. So, doing wrong is a sinful activity. Even thinking also is bad. But of course, in Kali Yuga, there is a concession that only those things which are done, they will have reactions. If I think something in the mind but I don't do it or I don't say it, the reaction is not there. But in other yugas, other than Kali Yuga, even if you think something wrong, you will be punished as much as with doing that activity. That much that was the level of control people needed to have. That means even in thought they cannot think anything wrong. You see, that is the kind of standard. One derives no benefit from the association of Mahabhagavats if he does not heed their advice. That is true. And associates instead with hypocritical religionists. No good will be availed to one who is insincere in his assumptions of the dress of a Vaishnava and his renunciation of the world. On the contrary, such insincerity is productive of great misfortune. Those who were hypocritical in their dealings with Srila Gaurkishore Prabhu were ruined as a result of their committing the offense of deliberately maintaining material attachment while chanting the holy name. What is the time? 9:20. Of course, we can go on. But actually, I'm quite tired today. So, anyway, we'll go on. Let's see how much more we can go on. Next, Srila Gaurkishore Prabhu and Maharaj Manindra Chandra. Knowing that Babaji Maharaj was a superlative Vaishnava and the spiritual master of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the famous Zamindar of Kasim Bazar, Sri Manindra Chandra Nandi, invited Srila Gaurkishore Prabhu to a Vaishnava conference which was to be held at his palace. Moved by the invitation of the Vaishnava king and with a heavy heart, Srila Babaji Maharaj responded, "If you want my association, you will have to leave your property in the hands of your officials and come and reside here. You must dwell on the bank of the Ganges river at Navadvip in a thatched hut with me. You won't have to think of procuring food. I shall personally feed you by begging alms. Thus I shall be obliged to come to your chanting compound by your daily invitation. But if I presently accept your invitation and leave the transcendental Gauradham and go to stay at your royal palace, then in no time I shall consider myself your competitor." Wow. As a result of this, I shall attempt to acquire land and property. This will create a great obstacle to my Krishna bhajan, and the desire to worship the objects of the senses will arise in my heart. In the course of time, I shall become envious of a Vaishnava king. Naturally, if I want to maintain everlasting love and friendship with you, and if, as my Vaishnava friend, you sincerely wish to show kindness to me, then it will be our bounden duty to stay at this transcendental place of Vishwambhars, maintaining our lives by the activities of Madhukari, and Madhukari means begging alms, and always remain busy in worshipping Lord Hari. You see how humbly he said. Ajanya Mataji is saying fasting. Okay, you can stop. It's not about fasting actually. We had a feast in the afternoon, but not enough rest. That is the problem. So anyway, it's all right. We'll go as much as we can, and then probably stop earlier than yesterday. Actually, I thought of doing everything today, all the entire thing, but looks like we have to do tomorrow as well. Anyway, let's continue how much ever we can. So you see how humbly he put it, but actually he's teaching that so-called that zamindar. At the same time, he put it so humbly that he's saying, if I come there, if I leave this transcendental Navadvip, Gauradham, the holy place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and go to stay at your royal palace, then in no time I shall consider myself your competitor. I will become your competitor, and you will have great trouble because of me. You see how he is thinking. You see, this is genuine humility. He is actually thinking like that. It's very, very uncommon. But for Vaishnava, he is actually like that. He thinks he is very susceptible to material. In fact, there was one incident where Prabhupada was sitting, and I think one Indian man or somebody who came and asked Prabhupada, will you fall down? Can you fall down? Prabhupada said, I will never fall down. Wow, he liked the answer. Wow, this is powerful answer. Who can say like this? So confidently, I will never fall down. And all the disciples also were like, wow, that was a powerful statement. But of course, it may sound like audacious statement, right? Maybe too much proud. Somebody may mistake it for that. Now, what happened after the meeting, darshan finished, then Prabhupada went to the room. Then he was, putting his hands like this and, praying to the, one picture of Krishna. He's praying, please save me from Maya, And one of the disciples asked, Prabhupada, but you said you will never fall down? Prabhupada said, this is why I will not fall down. Because I am always taking shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. That is why I don't fall down. It's not that I am a great person, I am immune to Maya. No. I am being saved by Maya because of the mercy of Krishna. Because I don't leave the shelter of Krishna, that's why I don't fall down. See how? So, in the same way, the Gaur Kishore Das Babaji is saying, I will fall down immediately when I live in your palace. I will become your competitor, and I will think of how to own the palace, and I will become a materialist. In this way, he was saying. So, in his own humble way, he taught a great lesson. I don't know whether that person understood the lesson or not, Manindra Chandra, but he taught him like that, taking the humble position. Another account of this incident and Babaji Maharaj's response to the king's entreaties is as follows. The Maharaj of Kasim Bazar, the late Manindra Chandra Nandi Bahadur, not Bahadur. The Maharaj of Kasim Bazar, the late Manindra Chandra Nandi Bahadur, tried with great effort to take Srila Babaji Maharaj to Kasim Bazar palace, but his desire was not successful. When the Maharaja's man went to Babaji Maharaj and said that by the order of the Maharaj, he would take Babaji Maharaj with great care by palanquin to Krishnanagar and from there by first class train to Kasim Bazar. Srila Babaji Maharaj replied, if I go to the Maharaja's palace, I may become greedy for wealth, and due to that there would be a possibility of strained relations with the Maharaj. Let him give over all his worldly possessions to his relatives and officers and come to me. I shall have a boat cover like mine. I have a boat cover like mine made and give it to him for a dwelling place. I shall have a boat cover like mine made and give it to him for a dwelling place. And together we shall blissfully perform Hari Bhajan. Seeing no other means, the Maharaja's man left. Means he was not prepared to do that. So when especially when one is attached to money, it becomes very difficult for that person to become interested in spiritual life in the first place. Babaji Maharaj was of course perfectly realized and aloof from all material temptation. Yet he graciously warned the non-liberated devotee by this humble example of the danger of accepting materialistic association or excessively opulent material facilities. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu voiced similar warnings in his dealings with Maharaj Prataparudra, initially he would have nothing to do with the king. He would not even meet him, saying that it was improper for a sannyasi to meet with a materialistic person despite his knowing the monarch to be an elevated devotee. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's adherents exerted themselves to arrange meetings on the king's behalf, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not agree. Eventually the king came to him stripped of his royal attire, dressed as a mendicant and reciting verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, and thereby received the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Regarding associating with mundane people, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya chapter 13, text 187. Although outwardly the king was a mundane man interested in men and women, internally he was purified by devotional service. He showed this by engaging as a street sweeper to please Lord Jagannath. This is true. Prataprudra, who was the great king, he became a sweeper in front of Lord Jagannath's chariot in the Rath Yatra. And that's why to this day, all over the world, when they have Rath Yatra, they will call some VIP guest, some mayor of the city or some king or some kind of government or important official to sweep in front of the Lord. In fact, we also have that. We get some minister or some government person to come and sweep in front of the chariot. So in other words, even the great king in this material world is only nothing but a servant of Lord Jagannath. Lord Jagannath is the real king of the whole universe. Although outwardly the king was a mundane man interested in money and women, internally he was purified. This is about Prataprudra. Because actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not want to meet him. And then finally when he saw his humility and everything, then he already met him. When he was sincere, then he instructed him. He showed this by engaging as a street sweeper to please Lord Jagannath. A person who may appear to be a pounds and shillings man interested in money and women, but if he is actually very meek and humble and surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is not mundane. A person may appear to be a pound and shilling man, but if he actually very meek and humble and surrendered to the Supreme Personality, he is not mundane. Such a judgment can be made only by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his very confidential devotees. As a general principle, however, no devotee should intimately mix with mundane people interested in money and women. It's very important lesson. Okay. I think, I will have to stop here. 29 onwards we have to start tomorrow, because I can't continue, because otherwise I would have gone for 1 more hour, but it's getting very tiring for me because the whole day was busy. So we will end here, and if there are any questions, I will take the question, and we will continue again tomorrow. I'm sorry about that, cutting the session short. Let's see if we have any questions here. I think no more questions. Yeah, I think we have answered everything. All right, so sorry I have to stop earlier today. I can't control my sleep. I have to, answer the call of nature now. I mean, in the manner of sleep, not to the toilet. But so we'll continue again tomorrow. We'll start from the 29th chapter, and we'll try to finish the entire life story of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. All right, but you see, you will find a theme here, that he is always against the hypocrisy of these pseudo devotees, always fighting against that, and in that way he is teaching us, where our pitfalls are. Because, all right, these people have had illicit connection with women, sex, and everything, but okay, we may not have done those kind of things, but still we have to be careful and be very cautious in our devotional life, so that we handle it properly and don't become like the cheater pretender. Like, the definition of pretender is there in Bhagavad Gita, in the 3rd chapter, verse 6, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य य आस्ते मनसा स्मरन् इन्द्रियार्थान् विमूढात्मा मिथ्याचारः स उच्यते. One who restrains the senses of action but whose mind dwells on sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Mithyachara. So we cannot be mithyachari and don the dress of a brahmachari. So brahmachari means one who is treading the path of Brahma or spiritual life. Not just the brahmachari ashram, but anybody who is following this path. Brahmacharati iti brahmachari. That's the definition of brahmachari. It means one who is, treading this path of spiritual perfection, Krishna consciousness. Now, in that path, if we behave like a mithyachari, that will become a big problem, and it will cause our own ruin. So we have to be very careful. All right, we will continue tomorrow again. Thank you very much. Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.